When I was a kid and I heard people say, they grow up so fast, I probably rolled my eyes. I mean, how obvious can you get, right? Now I have two sons, both in their early 20s, and I know exactly what they grow up so fast means. Similarly, I probably didn't need my dad or my grandma to get Alzheimer's to be able to know that dementia is bad. But it's a bit like they grow up so fast. Sometimes the things that you'll nod your head in agreement to don't really sink in until you've had a certain amount or a certain type of experience. So here's what I'd like to do in this video. I'm going to list 5 things that are probably so obvious I don't think I would ever have denied them. At the same time, from where I sit now, I don't think that I appreciated the significance of any of the 5 until I became a caretaker for my dad in 2008. My dad died in 2016 from complications related to his Alzheimer's. I've had several years to decompress and reflect on my family's experiences with that dreaded disease. So I don't say that just being my dad's caretaker automatically illuminated my mind. And I'm not going to pretend that me merely listing these things is going to illuminate yours. I feel like the least useless thing I can do is just encourage you to slow down and meditate on these things, and that exercise might be worthwhile. Number 1. Dementia can change your loved one's entire personality. If pre-2008 you'd have asked me, can Alzheimer's alter a person's personality? I would have said, you bet. Nevertheless, here's what I thought when I started caretaking. I really thought my dad would continue to be the same extroverted, happy-go-lucky, laid-back person I had always believed him to be, just with extra memory problems. It took months and countless frustrating, tearful, and sometimes frankly scary experiences for me to realize that Alzheimer's had literally flipped his personality. Almost all of the traits that I just listed had been converted into their literal opposites. He became withdrawn and isolated, combative, agitated, and so on. Now, a case can be made that all these negatives had always been there deep down, and everyone has a dark side kind of thing. So maybe for most of his life he was just really good at hiding or restraining that part of himself. And maybe when he got Alzheimer's he just couldn't or wouldn't hold back anymore. Regardless, what you get when caring for a dementia-afflicted loved one is often quite different from what you're used to, what you expect, and especially what you hope for. So be prepared for anything. Or to put it another way, realize that the person you're dealing with, while they may outwardly resemble the person you've always known, might act like a total stranger. Number 2, being a caretaker can make you feel really depressed. Again, is this a surprise? Even people who have had no dealings with Alzheimer's probably realize that Alzheimer's is a horrible and terminal disease. Watching a loved one deteriorate from it is going to be depressing. But I thought that I would at least feel like I was doing something worthwhile for my dad as I was doing it. And don't get me wrong, it was worthwhile objectively speaking. And in hindsight, I do cherish the time that I was present with and for my dad. Subjectively though, while everything was going on, I felt miserable. Caretaking frequently felt useless and futile, and I was physically sick much of the time. Maybe it's just me. It wasn't the understandable fact that my dad didn't appreciate what I was doing for him. It was that he resented and actively resisted me. It was a fight practically from day one. I locked the doors, I hid his tools, I disabled the car, and ultimately lobbied his doctor to petition the state to have his license revoked. I was the enemy. I knew these steps had to be taken objectively, but it was also painfully obvious to me that my dad was being cut off systematically from everything that gave him freedom and everything that he loved to do. Of course, I tried to remind myself that it was the disease that was really to blame, not me, but that didn't stop the waves of guilt or regret. I've gotten more into all of this in a dedicated video, so if being a caretaker makes you feel awful, you're not alone. I felt horrible, and on the wavelength of things I didn't fully know that your life and the life of your loved one may be permanently changed. Number 3, you will need to take breaks. Not taking a break can have serious consequences, not least your complete emotional or physical breakdown or burnout. Who would deny it? By the same token, you can't exactly leave an Alzheimer's sufferer by themselves for any length of time. It might be difficult enough for you to prepare a meal and eat it in peace, or to get an uninterrupted night's sleep, let alone to take a mini vacation. And all this assumes that you are in generally good health. What happens if you get sick? And bear in mind that this can go on for years. In our family's case, my dad lived 8 years after his diagnosis of Alzheimer's. That would be a long time to be somebody's 24/7 caretaker all by yourself. So how are you going to take those much needed breaks? As I've mentioned in other presentations, if you have no able or willing family members to relieve you from time to time, or in an emergency, then you may have to turn to professionals. Adult daycare, home care providers, and what are called respite care specialists can all play roles here. But wherever the help comes from, you need to make sure that you take care of yourself. Ultimately, a nursing home or other long-term care facility might be the only game in town for you. And on that note, try to more fully appreciate that number 4, your loved one may end up in a nursing home. And when I say end up, I do not mean to say that I think it's inevitable. I don't think that. And in our family's case, I don't mean to refuse responsibility for the decision to get him admitted. It was my choice. But honestly, early on, I did a lot of ostriching. If I had seriously faced the fact that a nursing home was a possible eventual outcome, I think I would have planned for it. I would say I think I would have planned better, except to be frank, I don't think I really did any planning for it at all, unfortunately. In advance, I mean. No one in my immediate family wanted to think about Dad being in a nursing home, including me. And I put off any serious consideration of that option until I was totally exhausted with at-home caretaking. And by that time, our options were severely limited. Even among nursing homes we could afford, quote unquote, our top 2 choices were unavailable. They had year-long waiting lists. And because I was essentially emotionally broken at the time I was looking for nursing homes, I probably didn't thoroughly investigate them as much as I should have. And since you can't reason as well when you're under duress, my ultimate analysis and final decision were probably compromised to a certain extent as well. In retrospect, it would have been much healthier for me to admit from the get-go that a nursing home was a possibility that needed to be faced, and to face it. If I would only have done just that, just admit that it was a possibility, I think our entire decision-making process would have gone slightly better. And it possibly would have yielded a better outcome. To top it off, I didn't fully appreciate that number 5, a nursing home is not a perfect solution. Again, who would say otherwise? For one thing, it's obvious just as a general point about decision making that when you're faced with 2 options, both options are going to have positives and negatives, pros and cons. Duh, right? In hindsight, it seems pitifully naive for me to have thought for a split second that the nursing home was going to be the answer to all my prayers. Because of course, nursing homes have their own drawbacks. Some of these disadvantages are both major and pretty obvious, like the fact that they have a staggering price tag. The current national average is in the vicinity of $8,000 per month. Another serious downside, one that I intend to make the focus of a dedicated video, is the arguable tendency of some nursing homes to over-medicate their patient residents. I don't want to go too far down that rabbit trail now. Let's just say that in my opinion, my dad's nursing home medicated him just to make him more docile. But it was hard for me to entertain any of that, let alone for me to understand it, when I was at the end of my rope in terms of home health care. The home situation had become seriously unmanageable, and frankly, I became desperate for an escape route. So at the risk of concluding with one of those aphorisms that's easy to say and hard to do, let me put it this way. From a practical standpoint, try to have open and honest communication with everybody in your circle. That might be family and friends, and it might be professionals like lawyers and doctors. Solicit advice from as many reputable sources as possible. And run your options past your home think tank. Try to be transparent in your conversations. Consider all possibilities, even if they strike you as unfortunate. In 2 planned follow-up videos, I'll expand on some of these ideas and explore related topics like things I wish I'd known when I started off caretaking. In the very next installment, already written, I'll suggest 3 things that I would do immediately if I had to be a caretaker all over again. But if you found something of interest or of use in this video, I invite you to click like. It helps YouTube to know that you appreciated the presentation. If you'd be interested in hearing some of my tips, then please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to make sure that your notifications are turned on. That's the little bell icon. And if you know someone who might get something out of the video, kindly share the original link with them or on your social media pages. Either way, I thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all the best with all your caretaking efforts.